good evening, everyone. I hope I'm going to be able to work this slide thing correctly. But I am going to share with you how 6 years ago I fell in love with money, right? And so, the love of money is the root of all evil, but the money that I'm talking about is not that kind of money, right? The kind of money I'm talking about builds communities. The money that I'm talking about honors those who are not honored or valued in the U.S. dollar economy system. I am talking about the money that takes vacant land and makes it productive. I'm talking about the kind of money that connects with Amish farmers in Lancaster, and we exchange for fresh produce and my services or another member's services to drive them to the supermarket. I'm talking the type of money that is not built on scarcity or interest or debt, but the kind of money that is built on abundance and generosity and promotes giving. And that money that I'm talking about is Equal Dollars community currency. So 6 years ago, I actually was doing some work with some young people at a program called the E3 Center. And these were young folks who were adjudicated youth. They had some run-in with the law. And a friend of mine asked me if I would be willing to teach them how to be entrepreneurs, how to run a business. And I said, sure, why not? And so I did. And, although they weren't necessarily too interested at the time, I showed up every day. And I was very committed. And the director of the program, Julius Jackson, he said, Deneene, I think I have something that you might be interested in. Why don't you read this book called New Monies for New Communities, which I did. And, I didn't read the whole book, right? I just, skimmed. I skimmed some pages. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this is something like bartering. I learned about the LET system. I learned about the hour system. I learned about different ways that people were exchanging goods and services with each other. And then I was asked to meet with Robert Fishman, who was the CEO of Resources for Human Development, and at the time, and we hit it off. We hit it off right away. And then he said, Deneene, would you like to come and breathe new life into our Equal Dollars system? Equal Dollars had been around for 20 years, around that time, maybe about 18 years at the time. And it had these different, life cycles. And at the point where I came in 6 years ago, the life cycle wasn't doing much of anything. And so I said, okay, sure, fine. I will come in, have no idea what I'm doing. I really don't quite understand this concept yet, but sure, yes, let's do it. And that is what Equal Dollars used to look like. And, people used to refer to this, including the CEO. They didn't take it seriously. It was like, oh, this is monopoly money. And at the time, we had some vendors come in, and I could maybe use some Equal Dollars towards a purse, and I could maybe use some Equal Dollars to get some handmade jewelry, or I could use some Equal Dollars to get like a Negro League t-shirt. But at the time, I couldn't use the Equal Dollars to get food. I couldn't use the Equal Dollars to get medication. I couldn't use Equal Dollars to get basic goods and services. And so I knew that if anyone was going to take this currency seriously, if it wasn't just going to be considered a novelty, we had to figure out a way how people could eat, clothe, maybe house, get health care, get medication, with the Equal Dollars. But the first thing I had to do was make it look nice, right? Because it didn't look very nice. And I went to a conference out in New York, and I met with Susan Witt, who founded the Berkshires, and they had this beautiful money that was printed on paper that the US dollar used to get printed on, and it was just fabulous. And I was like, oh no, we really have to do something about our currency. And so voila, I redesigned the money. And so then the next thing, it was like, okay, so how do we get people to use these dollars for food? And RHD was a large corporation, and it was spending quite a bit of US dollars with some food distributors for this program. So we just wrote some letters, sent it out to these corporations. So we're spending $500,000 with you. Can you come and meet with us so we can talk about, ways in which we could partner to do some good for the community? And so the president of U.S. Food Service responded. And he came in, Tom McGettigan, he has since retired. He came in and we met, we talked. He invited us out to his New Jersey warehouses, and we took a tour, and we're just walking around talking, and someone from his staff was like, could you use some bananas? And, not one to say no to anything, was like, oh, sure, we can use bananas, because, we throw bananas away every week. And so if you could come up here with a truck and pick them up, you can have them. And we're like, okay, we'll do that. And so we rented a U-Haul. Unbeknownst to us, we didn't really need the U-Haul. We needed a Ryder truck, but we rented a U-Haul anyway. We found some people. We went to U.S. Food Service out in Swedesboro, New Jersey, and we pulled up thinking we're going to get a couple of cases of bananas. Well, what we got was 8 to 10 pallets of food. And this was all food that this company was going to throw away, right? So I'm going to share this statistic with you that according to the United Nations of Organizations for Food and Agriculture, right? So we're talking about the United States, we're talking about Canada, we're talking about Australia, and we're talking about New Zealand. Only 48% of the fruit and vegetables that is produced in all those countries get to the table. 52% of that food is wasted. 20% of that 52% never leaves the farm, right? Seriously. 18% we waste once we get to the table. But 52% of the food, the fruit and vegetables that are grown in those 4 countries is wasted. There are so many people are hungry, right? Right down the street, not too far from Penn Charter, you have families who are struggling to eat. We have kids who go to school just so they can get a nutritious meal. Not too far over in Strawberry Mansion, there's a whole community of people there, of people who they feel like they live off the grid because the system is not designed to work for them. So we said, okay, we'll take the 10 pallets of food. And we got some volunteers, and we repackaged the food, and voila, the Equal Dollars Food Market was born, and it has been going strong every Monday for the last 4 years, where we pick up truckloads of food before it hits the waste stream, and about 10% of that food really does need to go into the trash. But the other 80% is perfectly good, perfectly fine, fresh produce, whether it's bagged spinach, whether it's lettuce, whether it's tomatoes, tomatillas, whether it's eggplant, you name it, it's there. And our Equal Dollar members come and get the food. Now, how do you get equal dollars? Well, the thing about equal dollars is you have to do something for someone else to get them. I can't do anything for me. I could do something for you. I could walk your dog, and you can say, oh, you can thank me with equal dollars for those. Or you can come and provide some service and help us to repackage food in a food market, and we'll say, oh, thank you so much for donating your time to us. We're going to honor that and thank you with equal dollars. You could run an errand for an elderly. You can help transform vacant lots. You can clean business corridors, whatever it is. As long as it's for someone else, as long as it is for the community, we will thank you for that. And you can make a whole lot of money, or you can make a little bit of money, right? We thank you for that. And then you can take those dollars in turn, and now you can come and put food on the table, right? But you're putting, the abundance is so much that not only are you putting food on your table, you're putting food on everyone else's table. All of our volunteers that come every week say they are feeding someone else. They are feeding their community. And they're doing it in a way that, because their US dollars are very, very limited, they wouldn't be able to do this. They wouldn't be able to have this kind of impact. But their equal dollars allow them to be able to help someone else. So, we're like, oh, well, we can do this with food. We can do this with a whole bunch of other stuff, right? So we became like, oh God, it's been, I can tell you, we had someone donate to us carpet tiles, right? 16 by 16 carpet tile squares. And we were like, sure, we'll take them. And we're like, what are we going to do with these carpet tiles? So we were like, okay, we're going to have a sale on carpet tiles. You can get 10 carpet tiles for $2 equal. And they went just like that. And people were taking their carpet tiles and redoing their basements, redoing their neighbors' basements, whatever, they went. And so we stumbled upon this model where if you do something for someone else, right, we're going to thank you and honor that. And then we're going to make it so that you can now use these dollars to get basic goods and services. RHD has a vested interest in a pharmacy, SQA Pharmacy. And that pharmacy agreed to accept up to $5 equal per prescription copayment towards medications. And you're like, oh, what will the pharmacy do with their equal dollars? Well, they in turn, it was a little incestuous, but they in turn were able to utilize their equal dollars to pay for some accounting services and some cleaning services that were really provided by the parent company, RHD. So, we're getting things at the end of the commercial life, right? We're getting things at the end of the waste stream. To the point, if we had to value, put a US dollar value of the things we've gotten at the end of life, is probably somewhere around $2.5 to $3 million over the last 4 years of goods that that were donated into the system before they hit the waste stream. So one day I had this, I'm thinking with Bob, and I'm like, okay, well, what happens if U.S. Food Service decides they want to no longer donate food to us? Well, our whole system collapsed. So how do we get now at the beginning of the product stream? And so, again, because someone knows somebody that knows someone, right? I met this lady, and she used to be the CSA manager at Lancaster Farm Fresh Cooperative. And so she knew of a farmer out in Lancaster who had a whole bunch of collard greens that were twos. So I learned something. Ones means that the farmer can sell them at top dollar. They're perfect. They're great. Whole Foods want them, right? But twos, they don't meet the quality standards, and so therefore, no one will buy them. And so therefore, again, it will go into the waste stream. So we were like, of course, we'll take them. We want them. And so we made available to our members certified organic collard greens that, quite frankly, look very good. I couldn't believe they were twos compared to sometimes what you see at some of the neighborhood or community food stores, ShopRite excluded, that they were quite good. And so we then were able to build relationships with some small Amish family farmers. Interestingly enough, the Lancaster Farm Fresh Cooperative decided after that their farmers that participated in their cooperative could no longer sell their twos. They could not get rid of their twos. But that's okay. We were able to build relationships with Lydia and Joseph Kaufman and Rebecca and Aaron Stolfitz. And so for the last 3 years, actually I just I was up Lancaster last week where we did some crop planting. So now we have straight farm to table, right? We're getting Yukon Gold, red, sweet potato collards, watermelon, peaches, strawberries, corn on the cob, you name it, we're getting it. And people are going to be able to use, they'll have to pay some US dollars, but they also will pay equal dollars for this farm fresh produce. And we've been doing that for about 3 years now, and it's a very popular program. And the farmers, what they use their equal dollars for, because we also, we buy the produce for them for partial equals. What they use their equal dollars for is, one, they get rides to the grocery store because they are, riding in a horse and buggy. And two, when we get things into the system, if I get a ham, if I get chicken nuggets or chicken fingers or snacks or things like that, they find a value, I then take it up to Lancaster and they give me they use their equal dollars to get these things for their home. So another part of equal dollars is we were struggling. How do we get businesses involved, right? How do we get local businesses involved in the system? And so Sarah, who's a colleague of mine, she was having a hard time trying to get businesses to want to take the risk. If you're running a business, you need to make a profit. That's a given. And if you're a small business, it's even more of a challenge for you to do that sometimes. So what we discovered is that even though businesses didn't necessarily want to say, oh, we want to take equal dollars on a regular basis, they did like the aspect of being connected to the community. So in South Kensington, what we did is we created a Keeping It Local campaign, right? And so in the Keeping It Local campaign was the business corridor along Girard Avenue. It included working with a small CDC, South Kensington Community Partners, and the community. And the community decided they were going to spend a day in helping to clean up the business corridor. They would sweep, they would do graffiti removal, all these things for the businesses. They got thanked with equal dollars, and then the businesses on that one day agreed that they would accept partial equal dollars from everyone who participated in the community service project. And not only that, all of our members, right, agreed. We pushed all of our members to come down into South Kensington and shop with the businesses in that community. And so, I share all this to say that, if you have an idea, if you have a theory, you're working something out on paper. Lenny interned with us this fall. He would come in with all these ideas and all. I would say, Lenny, try it, do it. Let's put it into action. And that's the one thing that I've learned in my 6 years of working with equal dollars and falling in love with this kind of money, is that you don't know until you try it. And even if it doesn't work, it's okay. Tweak it and try it again.